I'm the girl who sold her car to pay $14,000 of vet bill. A few months ago, I posted about this. I told you guys all about the pet insurance company that I have had for 3 years and how they denied every single claim.
Oh, this guy's got the fluffy Frenchie. How much you want for that?
Yeah, it's a $50,000 dog. Fluffy, Isabella, French Bulldog.
$50,000 for the Frenchie.
I have two Great Danes, okay? Astro and Nova. Mr. Astro Butt doesn't have his balls anymore, and he had to get a gastroplexy because Great Danes are susceptible to bloat. Both surgeries happened at the same time, and it costed about $3,000, which I thought was fine because I had pet insurance. They sent me back $65. It didn't even cover his pain meds.
In the past couple of years, I've noticed a sudden surge or trend where young people are becoming pet owners. And I was like, do people not realize how expensive that is going to be? And apparently it is finally catching up to them. Pet owners are officially going broke in 2025, and it is absolutely out of control. Don't get me wrong. I think it is awesome to be a pet owner and to adopt a dog, but you should do it when you are financially stable. Now, if you guys happen to own a pet, let me know how much it costs down in the comments section below. Let's have a chat about it because I think we need to raise some awareness to this and let everybody know what goes into actually owning a pet. Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode.
Hi. This is for everyone who is thinking about getting a dog and they don't have one. Dogs are expensive, especially owning a dog in Seattle. So I just took my dog to the vet. Everything was relatively normal. He just had an increased appetite with less exercise. So I just wanted to check on things. And I have pet insurance, okay? But here is the rundown of the vet bill.
An increased appetite with less exercise. I mean, it would just be like a growing dog, right?
Right. All they did was a blood work panel, okay? $625 later, and that is coming out of my pocket, and I pay $60 a month on insurance. However, 90% should be covered, but it's going to take like a month or two to get back. And you can't directly bill your insurance. Some vets now let you do that, but not my vet and not most vets. Okay, so here we go. This was about a 20-minute appointment. Exam consultation fee, $128. So every time he goes to the vet, it's $128 just for them to see him. Okay.
Huh.
$295 for the blood work panel. They added on thyroid testing, which pulls from the same blood sample, and that was $30. And then they added on cortisol testing, which was again from the same blood work sample, $172. So that's how it rung up to $625. So please consider medical costs if you're thinking about getting a dog. You better have a good savings and you better get pet insurance.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that is the proper testing. Cortisol to check their stress, thyroid to make sure that their metabolism is functioning correctly, and blood work to see if there's any discrepancies or things, elevated levels in their blood to make sure that, you know, everything is still normal here. But over $600 for just a checkup to get your blood work pulled. Imagine if she didn't have insurance and she's out here stressing that she has to pay the upfront cost and then hope and pray that the insurance she's paying for reimburses her 1 to 2 months later. But what I am starting to see as a trend, when I went to college in 2017, graduated in 2020, those 4 years, for whatever reason, I went to upstate New York, a SUNY college, SUNY Brockport, for those wondering. What I noticed is like freshman, definitely sophomore year, there were like, it was more girls for whatever reason were adopting dogs, like left and right. It was like the biggest thing on campus. All these young girls are adopting dogs, and I'm like, do you not realize how expensive dogs are? And it was a trend, and I don't think people realized how much this is going to cost them in the long run, because I was like, I can't even afford to take care of myself, let alone another life. I can't even afford food for me. And now I'm going to be able to afford dog food and veterinary care and a bed and toys and shots and whatever else comes with owning a pet. And I have a couple funny stories that I'm going to tell you about later on about how it kind of backfires when they get these crazy expensive bills that they didn't realize they were going to get because they adopted a dog.
A lot of the vets said that having a pet is a luxury. In other words, if you can't afford the pet, many people said this, then don't have one.
We do consider it an optional expense. Now, don't get me wrong. I would say all three of us, right, totally think there is a ginormous benefit to the human-animal bond.
Oh, 100%.
Right? I mean, it helps people with their cortisol levels. It helps people with mental health. And I don't want to feel bad because we have to run a business and we have to pay our employees to want to work at our practice, and we have to pay to keep our doors open from the standpoint of electricity and rent and all the things that go into
running a business.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I am not anti-pet ownership in any way, shape, or form. There's obviously plenty of benefits. Like, it's the most loyalty man's best friend you'll get. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely a time and a place to have a pet or to adopt a dog in life, but you really have to go into pet ownership like a luxury, and I think that's where people get confused. I think people just treat it possibly as a necessity or just as an accessory. That's what I'm starting to notice in 2025. It is 100% becoming more of this trendy accessory to have a dog. People, it's crazy now. Like, where is this world going? Now, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I am seeing dogs in shopping carts when I'm going grocery shopping. Like, I'm putting my meat and produce in a shopping cart, or I'm seeing dogs sniff the meat section, or I have to watch out now for stepping in shit when I'm walking through the aisles at Walmart and the airport. It blows my mind, but I'm starting to think people don't realize what pet ownership actually is, and it will make a lot more financial sense if you treat pet ownership like a luxury, and this way you aren't unprepared for when these massive financial responsibilities creep up or surprise you.
I'm the girl who sold her car to pay $14,000 of vet bills. A few months ago, I posted about this. I told you guys all about the pet insurance company that I have had for 3 years and how they denied every single claim, leading to me having to sell my car. That video went a little viral and said pet insurance company didn't love the bad press. So they did reach back out and they said, why don't we resubmit your claims and we'll see what we can get approved. Curious? These are all the claims that I resent. It's a fuck ton. I was so excited when they emailed me back and said that they were going to cover about $2,000 out of $14,000, but they were going to give me $2,000, which is still something. Unfortunately, this was January 20th. They said that my checks would arrive in 7 to 10 days. Never arrived. I reached out a few times to say like, hey, nothing ever arrived. Unfortunately, I still haven't heard back. So basically my update is, that pet insurance company is still fucking me over, and I will still never recommend them to any of you.
Oh boy, there is a lot to learn from that video. For starters, I am skeptical with any warranty and insurance stuff because it basically allows some other entity to be the judge, jury, and executioner to decide your fate. You know what I'm saying? If you get an extended warranty on your car, if they decide to deny it, what are you going to do? Take them to court? That's very difficult. It's a pain in the ass. Most people can't afford it. That's why they bought the warranty in the first place. Same thing with insurance, car insurance, pet insurance, health insurance, home insurance. I mean, all these insurances are basically allowing another entity to be in charge of whether or not they choose to deny or accept you. It's like they just flip a coin and say, we're not going to approve you today. And now you're SOL. You're literally shit out of luck. What are you going to do? Sue them? They have a lot of money. They have lawyers, the best of the best, that they have a ton of money to afford them to fight your battle for that exact reason. So it definitely becomes a burden, but $14,000 in a medical bill for your pet. People do not realize how crazy pet ownership can be. And a story that comes to mind is I knew someone from my college that had purchased a dog. Same reason why I said before. And it was a puppy, it got older, and it jumped off the stoop of their apartment and it landed wrong and it broke its leg and it cost them $5,000, which obviously they don't have as a broke college student, $5,000 to get their leg fixed and reset. And they had to start a GoFundMe. Don't think they raised much of anything, but it just tells you now you're going into debt $5,000 to get your pet fixed. This is why you need to have your finances straight, have an emergency fund, don't have any debt. So when crazy things like that happen, it doesn't set you back all that much. It doesn't come too much as a surprise. You'll have an emergency fund to pay it off. Then you fill up your emergency fund again, and these crazy unforeseeables become a lot easier to manage.
Oh, this guy's got the fluffy Frenchie. How much you want for that?
Yeah, it's a $50,000 dog. Fluffy Isabella French Bulldog. Slowly rolling.
50.
Badass pedigree.
50,000 for the Frenchie.
Are French Bulldogs actually worth 50 grand? You know, I was making this video under the assumption that most people were just adopting dogs that were free from like an animal shelter. I totally forgot that there's this whole other realm of pet ownership where people are purchasing exotic dogs. 50 grand for a French Bulldog? Is that actually what they're going for right now? That's absolutely insane.
Is how much it costs to take care of a Frenchie in California. Frenchies are usually more expensive than other dogs to take care of, so I wanted to break down the cost and my routine to take care of my Frenchie. I got my dog when she was only 8 weeks old, and I fell in love with her instantly. She's a blue and tan purebred Frenchie, and typical market value is $6,000 to $10,000. All of her shots and vaccinations were included, so I just had to buy pee pads, a crate, and all of her toys, which totaled around $300 up front. Because Frenchies have a lot of allergies, I only bought what the breeder recommended, which was a Kana lamb and apple, and that cost $100 per bag, and it lasts once a month. And when she was due for her other shots like rabies, it would average about $20 a month for everything. I also got pet insurance, which is 3 times more expensive for a French Bulldog compared to other dogs, so I paid about $75 a month for insurance. And because she absolutely loves playing with toys, I average about $20 a month to get her new toys. I also get her miscellaneous items to treat her allergies, and that averages $20 a month as well. And finally, all of the treats, vitamins, and minerals is another $20. So the average monthly cost to take care of my Frenchie is $235, but she's almost 3 years old and she hasn't had any complications so far that would make her go to the vet. So this cost is not even including any vet visits, just the insurance to cover her. But having her around and being part of my family is priceless.
Yeah, there's obviously a trade-off, but I just don't think people realize the expenses that go into pet ownership. Like, I didn't even touch upon the fact that as your pet gets older, they are more prone to health problems, just like us, just like people. The older we get, you know, your back starts aching, you know, things become a little more frail and fragile, you know, so it makes sense. And that would then again increase the cost of your pet insurance or your health bills and vet bills because, you know, now your animal, your pet is more prone to injury. That's crazy. Didn't even think about that. But she's paying close to $3 grand, and it will continue to rise just for the cost of having her puppy, her dog, which is awesome if you can afford it. And this is why I stress that this is a luxury. Pet ownership is a luxury, and you should only be doing it if you think about the entire picture and are financially capable of affording it. Don't just go out and buy one willy-nilly because you want a friend. You know, you could do it that way, but there's a good chance it's going to send you spiraling into debt.
Don't get a dog in your 20s. Because I promise you, you think that you're getting a dog just for a little bit of emotional support, baby. It's a bait and switch. It's definitely the bait and switch. The dog is $2,000. The training is about $1,500 to $3,000.
Wow.
The shots out the gate about $750. Don't let her get an ear infection from the groomers putting water in her ears. Then if you live in an apartment, the apartment fee about $500 plus monthly fees.
Yeah.
Then don't switch apartments because then you got to do that again. And don't let me get started on the food. The food is so expensive, and it's only so expensive because she literally is so picky. My dog is the pickiest eater in the whole wide world. She could like something one week, and then the next week she hates it. So it's like I'm wasting money on food. She is just so expensive, like, but it's so crazy because y'all probably like, well, just get rid of her. I love her. I don't want to get rid of her. She's not going anywhere. Now I'm attached. It's like a toxic relationship. I can't leave. Just literally prepare to pay at least $5,000 in the first year for your dog.
Wow.
That's all I'm gonna say. Like, how can I get rid of that? She just so cute. Stink, you need to pay some bills, for real.
And that's from not adopting a dog. That is from purchasing one for $2 grand from like a select breeder or whoever you want to do it. But I didn't even realize the amount of hidden costs that go into pet ownership. And I'm going to tell you straight up, if you have that itch, you know, for adopting a pet or wanting a cat or wanting a dog, maybe consider trying to make it a business. Go be a dog walker. Go be a pet sitter. There are plenty of apps online where you can do it 1099 and charge people in the neighborhood. And maybe that will fulfill your itch for wanting to be a pet owner. And you can get a little taste of what it is, because she hit on a few points that the last girl didn't. We didn't even account for, my apartment charges, I think $300 to $400 for having a pet. And then I think there might even be a monthly fee that goes into having a pet in your apartment. So we forgot about that. Then think about, hey, what if you want to travel? What if you want to go away? Well, you're either going to have to bring your dog, which is expensive. You could possibly do it on a plane if you have a smaller dog, or you're going to have to bring it with you, or you have to find someone to dog sit for you or put it in the kennel. And that is very expensive now. It's like $70 a day. So think about that. You want to go on a week-long trip? That's going to be at a bare minimum $700 for the week added on to your vacation just to take care of your dog at home. So there are so many hidden fees and hidden expenses that I didn't even think about that would go into dog ownership. $453 because emergency vet bill because Athena broke her toe doing zoomies around the pool on a Sunday and needed immediate surgery. That was near similar to the story that I told. $198 for weekly potty grass delivery. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think it could go that far, and it does. Why would you even pay $200 a week? $800 a month for grass? Can't you just buy some sod at Home Depot if you need to? Or go outside in the front of your house and not at that lake? There's got to be an alternative. $389 because Nala had to be spayed. $203 prescription food and probiotics so we don't get diarrhea and poo everywhere. $155 Cyto point injection for Apollo so he stops incessantly licking his paws. And we didn't even throw in the cost of those French Bulldogs, because as far as what we learned, it's probably $15,000 worth of Bulldogs for the three of them. It really shows you that this is becoming more and more of a luxury. And if you can afford it, by all means, it's just like a car. To some, to a lot of men, their car, their truck is their thing that brings them the emotional support as towards a dog for a girl or for a guy too, whatever. The thing is, you don't go into debt doing it. There's a right way and a wrong way to buy a car, and a right way and a wrong way to buying a dog. And it's to do it when you are financially stable. And also, as for the insurance thing, it almost seems like you might need to get pet insurance at this point, but then you're at the mercy of them and hope and pray that they approve you on whatever it is, surgery or vet bill that you're getting.
I see so many people getting dogs and their lifestyles suffer because they weren't ready for the responsibility of a dog. I got my dog in college. He's about to be 6, and it has been one of the hardest things I have ever had to deal with. So I made a list of 10 things you have to consider before getting a dog. First thing to ask yourself, do I want to pay for pet insurance every month? And if not, can I afford an emergency vet bill that's $5,000? Pet insurance is a non-negotiable. It's about $30 a month. And if you don't want to pay that, you need to be okay when your pet has an emergency to pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And no one prepares for an accident, they just happen. Or 2, who's gonna watch your dog when you travel? Is it gonna be friends, family? Are you gonna pay $100 for a doggy daycare? Also, say goodbye to spontaneity, because if you don't have someone to watch your dog, you can't just jet off to go on a weekend trip. You have to have that figured out. 3, what if your dog ends up having behavioral issues like mine? Are you willing to...
For the last 6 years, I have worked on training my dogs, paying professionals to help manage his fear aggression. Wow.
Put in the time and pay a trainer for consistent training so your dog can safely be in society? Are you ready for the emotional toll that's going to take on you because we don't give up on our dog? We don't just take them to the pound when things get hard. If your dog's aggressive, are you ready to deal with that? I'm running out of time, so I'll respond to a comment on this video for part 2.
Wow, so I don't think those were 10, or maybe it was, but she brought up a lot of valid points. And hey, if you guys are considering getting a dog or a pet, just write out the pros and cons. And the big one is seeing if you are financially ready to afford one. And if you are, then hey, by all means, go get a pet.
I have 2 Great Danes, okay? Astro and Nova. Mr. Astro Butt doesn't have his balls anymore, and he had to get a gastroplexy because Great Danes are susceptible to bloat. Both surgeries happened at the same time, and it costed about $3,000, which I thought was fine because I had pet insurance with Pets Best. They sent me back $65. It didn't even cover his pain meds. Nova here, when she was just...
This is exactly what I am talking about. If you get insurance or stuff like that, warranties, extended warranties, you are seriously at the mercy of the Almighty. And they are judge, jury, and executioner. It is totally unfair, and I have heard countless times with every single type of extended warranty, even if you are 100% right, or insurance company, if you are 100% right, they will just deny you for whatever reason, and good luck fighting them. $3,000, and she thought that she was going to get it fully reimbursed, and they like smacked her in the face and said, here you go, here's $60. That is unbelievable.
Baby puppy ended up overeating because she got into her brother's food and actually got bloat. She tried to throw it up, which didn't work. She just inhaled this vomit, which caused a lung infection, and she got pneumonia and had to spend 5 days in the animal hospital. Picking up a $7,000 vet bill, which sucked to put on my credit card, but I had Pets Best, who guaranteed a 90% reimbursement. They didn't even notify me that the claim was finished. I had to call and ask what's up, and they were like, oh yeah, we're not paying for any of that. Reason they gave me for him was that it was a non-emergency surgery, and the reason they gave me for her was because of a waiting period for medical emergencies. So I ended up paying about $10,000 out of pocket plus $3,000 to Pets Best insurance, which doesn't make sense because they're not insurancing. And I just would have saved so much money and heartbreak by never getting their insurance in the first place and just paying out of pocket, you know? And I've messaged other people who have like worked with Pets Best, and they're like, yeah, wait a minute, all my claims never seem to go through. So I genuinely think this company is scamming people. Please don't give them your money. If anybody out here has actually good pet insurance, please let me know because I feel like they're going to need it. You know, Great Danes, they always have like issues. I need it. Help, please.
Treat it like a luxury because just like cars, the more exotic and expensive you go, even on new ones, you're going to run into problems. And don't think that just because you have a warranty or because you have insurance that you're going to get covered. Case in point right there, $14,000 she was responsible for is unreal. That the insurance is like, you didn't follow our crazy freaking instructions. You didn't hop 3 times, touch your nose, and spin around fast enough, and we didn't see it happen, so it doesn't count. We're not going to pay you on it. Did she say that there was a waiting period for an emergency visit? What does that mean? That if it's an emergency, you have to wait a certain amount of days and then go? Well, if it's an emergency, you have to go that time. It doesn't make any sense to me.
How much it costs to own a dog in 2022. The upfront cost, which includes things like adoption fees, vaccinations, neutering, spading, leashes, and collars, on average costs around $750. After that, you have things like dental, grooming, food, toys, pet insurance, routine vet checkups. This can all cost around you $2,000 per year. And for whatever reason your pet gets injured, you have to go to the pet hospital, it'll cost around another $500. So in total, if you want to adopt a dog, on average it'll cost you over $3,000.
So the thing is, I've wanted a dog and I would have a dog, but I know that there's a lot of financial responsibility that comes with it. And I think for my own sanity, it would make more sense when I have everything else in place first. When I actually have a home that's mine, then I can get a dog, and then I won't have to pay some crazy pet apartment fee and all the costs associated with it. And when you're home and you have a family and you have kids, you're kind of stuck being home anyway or staying local, at least for several years, because you have children. You're not going to be traveling randomly for whatever reason immediately. So it kind of keeps you home, and it would make a kind of a pet fit a little bit easier into that sort of lifestyle, at least from my understanding.
Inflation hasn't hit me really hard until right now. This is my pet insurance renewal notice from Nationwide. We have their best coverage. In fact, it's so good that they no longer offer it. We have the whole pet wellness, which basically covers 90% of everything. We've had this plan since 2017, and in 2017 our premium was only $608. And every year after that, obviously the premium has increased, which I get because the dogs are getting older. I am not dumb to the realities of this situation. But the yearly increase ranged until last year between like $80 and $280 a year. Last year, our premium went up by $600. So for the year 2022 to 2023, we paid $1,800 for Levi and $1,600 for Luke because we get the multiple dog discount. I did the math and figured that it was worth the increase in price because honestly, that's the cost of a dental cleaning, including like all the blood work, the anesthesia, all of it. So we still thought it was worth it. This year, however, our premiums increased by $2,300. That is not the cost of the plan. That is the increase in price to the cost of the plan. So the payments now, if we kept the same coverage, this is for Levi, is $4,084.58. So as you can see, obviously slowly increase in price. I feel like this is normal. And then we get to last year, increase in about $600. And then this year, the increase in $2,300 and $2,000 for Lukey. I called Nationwide to ask them what the hell is going on, and they blamed inflation. They did that last year when they increased our premium by $600, and that I could like relatively get, but not increasing our premium by $2,300 for one dog. By the way, I took a look at our vet costs, and they have been relatively consistent over the past few years. Definitely not warranting a $2,300 increase in our premium. So I think this is just a way to kick us off our really great coverage because they're probably losing a ton of money on us.
Can you imagine? I just added it up briefly. She's paying like $7,000 or $7,500 a year in just insurance for her two dogs. That is insane. That is such a luxury. You have to be so financially comfortable to afford an extra $7,000 just to insure your two pets. At that point, it might be worth just not having insurance on them and hoping that in a year or two, nothing happens. And if one does, you basically recoup your money from not having the insurance those 2 years. This really, truly shows you that people are going broke over their pets. And if you get them at a young age, let's say in your 20s, then it is going to be that much harder to become financially independent and financially successful. If you start stacking, your 20s is meant to be grinding and figuring out how to make as much money as possible, because the rest of your life is kind of going to be based on what you do in your 20s and maybe in your mid 30s. Then you can start to get work-life balance, relax a little bit, and you can pat yourself on the back for what you did for that decade. But if you start to get a car payment, you start traveling on crazy vacations, and you start to get pets and all this stuff, you're going to be working day and night to try to recoup and pay off all the stuff you did just for those couple of years.
Last week, my dog had a $2,100 surgery that I was just so confident that my pet insurance was going to cover. So imagine my dismay when I opened my email today and the claim was completely denied in full, 100% of it. Listen, this stuff just happens, okay? Sometimes claims get denied wrongfully. I just want to share with you like what you can do if this ever happens to you. Side note, I do have FIGO. I love them. FIGO, if you're watching this, okay? I still love you. Please respond to my email. I've never had this issue before. They're really great about reimbursing in a timely manner, and yeah, no complaints up until about 10 minutes ago. So let me explain what happened. This is Winston's 5th appointment for his ear issue, and the prior 4 appointments, FIGO covered in full. Okay, we get 80% reimbursement. They reimbursed us our full 80% for every single ear infection appointment. Next step for us was the surgery. He had the surgery a week ago. I submit the claim. expecting it to be covered because so far everything's been covered. And they denied it as a pre-existing condition that it existed before we had insurance. Okay. First of all, he never had ear infections before we had insurance. And how do you explain that the last 4 claims were not pre-existing, but the newest, most expensive one, still related to the same issue we had for the last 3 months, is now pre-existing? Oh my God, they just emailed me. They literally just emailed me. Hang on. That just pissed me off. Okay, anyways, so this is what I'm doing now. Now, how other pet insurances work, I would assume it's a similar process, but basically with FIGO, if you ever get a claim denied, you can reach out to them to dispute it and give them information to why you think your claim should not be denied. So I emailed them and I said, hey, this is not a pre-existing condition. You have covered the last 4. I provided the claim number, the date, and the price for all of our previous claims. I pled my case, I made my explanations, and I just received the email saying that they have resubmitted our claim and that I will get a response in 60 days. 60 days to find out if I'm getting reimbursed $2,000.
And that's an interesting thing too, because instead of the insurance paying it directly, you have to bear the burden of paying for that bill yourself and then waiting for them, which could take up to 8 weeks for them to reimburse you. So you are responsible for paying it. You're probably going to have to pay off your credit card by then. So you're going to have to come up with that money at first and then hope that they pay you off. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. It's a new topic that I thought we should look at because people are going broke literally over their pets in 2025. And I want to hear your thoughts about it down in the comments section below. What does it cost you to own a dog? What does it cost you to own a pet? Let me know whether or not it was a burden, a mistake, the best thing you've ever done, the price of it, so on and so forth. Otherwise, guys, that is it for today's video. Make sure to smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe. And if you haven't already seen my video of terrible credit card debt, then definitely make sure to check it out right after this. Peace.